All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be touching on the top prop bets for this college football Saturday on both PrizePicks and Underdog. Let's go ahead and get into it. And so I want to just start out with a few EV bets that we currently have on PrizePicks right now, guys. So I'm filtering out the fantasy score prop bets. If you guys are watching this, probably Friday night, as I'm going to post this video on Friday night, and these bets are still available, by all means, feel free to bet on them. The only one I'm kind of indifferent about is this Keyshawn Williams under 2.5 receptions. Lately, he's been able to get this over quite frequently. Not exactly one that I want to go out of my way to target too much, but the next two I'm pretty comfortable with. Either way, all three of these are going to be good EV bets there for PrizePicks. So let's go ahead now and jump on into really just the other bets that we were getting, but mostly just fantasy score prop bets. And we are getting a lot of decent fantasy score prop bets, as we typically would. We got Genty for over his fantasy score again on PrizePicks. That one ended up being a little bit of a sweat last week. Ended up in the middle there last week on both PrizePicks and Underdog. Underdog is not giving us a line this time around. We saw last week Underdog was at like 40, PrizePicks was at like 30. It was an insane middle opportunity. And that's just, obviously, it's just a massive line for him. And so we see the average sportsbook line at 44. I mean, that just really comes down to touchdowns, right? A big chunk of what he does is going to be based off of touchdowns. And it's just really betting on him getting multiple touchdowns in this game. Can be a sweat, though, like it was last week, where he got like, I don't know, 70% of his production in the second half of that game. That would end up pinning pretty easily, though. Another one that we got is Brooks to get over his fantasy score. Again, I always kind of like to look at it in terms of where are we getting kind of the outlier in terms of the data. And I would say that is in the PrizePicks line that we have here. The average sportsbook line would have this set at 28.45. The Underdog line would have it set at 26.54. And again, I always like to remind people we are doing a slight calculation difference between PrizePicks and Underdog because Underdog does half point PPR, PrizePicks does full point PPR. Now we go ahead and look at Brooks. We noticed that he has been basically right around there in every game thus far over his past 5 games. So it is going to be a tight sweat there, but again, the data really likes to over here. If you guys are seeing this and saying, well, maybe I think he's going to struggle, obviously you'd want to bet the under then on Underdog. From there, we got Tyler Warren to get under his fantasy score, and I do want to call out that he is likely to score a touchdown in this game, and I want to call that out. So the way that the fantasy score is determined, especially when accounting for anytime touchdowns, is taking the percent likelihood of that touchdown and timesing it by 6. So for Tyler Warren, there's like a 58% likelihood for him to score a touchdown. Okay. And I think that's why we're getting such a big edge here with Tyler Warren. And I call that out because he has been someone lately that has been crushing. Now, he will get a more difficult matchup with Minnesota. I shouldn't say more, but a tougher matchup with Minnesota. But he has been someone that has been crushing his over receptions lately. And so let's just say he gets this right here. Let's say he gets 6 receptions for 70 yards or so. That's 13 points just right there. You add on that other touchdown, that's 19 for a fantasy score, and he is likely to score a touchdown. It is a 58% likelihood. But when you combine that all together, not as likely. So that's going to be for you guys to decide if you guys want to roll with that, but I did want to call that out for you guys. From there, we are seeing that this is one of the biggest prop line differences that we have here. And again, obviously, this is going to be a very fun game to watch going against Indiana. Given the matchup, sure, you would see this last 5 game average and assume that he would be able to get the under. So I'm kind of on board with this one as well. We are seeing a big prop line difference, though, between PrizePicks and Underdog. This one could end up middling here. So not a terrible bet on both sites. Malachi Fields I'm struggling with. I would love to see the Underdog line to see if we were getting an edge there or not. Ja'Cory Brooks for under his fantasy score is another little edge that we are getting. And then J.J. Jones for over his fantasy scores. All right. Corey Kiner, I'm pretty happy to bet the under here. Again, we are seeing a big prop line difference with him. It seems like every single week he is someone where we are getting some big prop line differences. And every single week I'm happy to bet the under on him. Under 16.5 for his fantasy score. We look at the average sportsbook line. That's more in line with the projection data and the Underdog line. And so that's another one that I'm happy to bet on. Now, that he's not going to be on the bet of the day because I'm going to be going with more of those receptions props. But if those get bumped by the time you guys are watching this would be one that I'd be comfortable to insert into that. One of those bets if they get bumped. And so with that, I do want to get into the PrizePicks bet of the day here. Keeping it simple, just going based off of what the board is telling us to do here. So I'm kind of happy to do those again. Running out those over receptions props because those are the ones that are really popping up. You can sub in any of those other prop bets that were popping up in there as well. Let's go ahead and jump into Underdog. Now, one bet that I do like is going to be Dylan Raiola to get under his passing yards. If you look on PrizePicks, you would see that his passing yards is actually like 192, I believe, or maybe 197. Anyways, the underdog line is a little bit higher, and he is someone that I did want to bet some unders on. He has been struggling to get this over in the past few games now, and he also gets a difficult matchup going against Wisconsin. Wisconsin obviously kind of just, I don't want to say shut down Dylan Gabriel, but kind of did, and Wisconsin hasn't been a terrible defense. And so all in all, I can get behind this bet being a pretty solid bet for us to go out and chase and target. And again, we are gaining a slight edge there by doing this bet on underdog rather than on PrizePicks. And then real quickly, guys, as it sits right now, we are only getting like 3 good prop bets on underdog. We got Hunter to get under his fantasy score. We got Devin Neal to get under his fantasy score, and Jam Miller to get under his fantasy score. I'm going to be using all 3 of those with the Dylan Raiola under passing yards as the underdog by the day here as well. So that's going to conclude the video, guys. Wanted to make this short and simple for you guys. Those are going to be the bets that I'm writing out. If you guys want access to the cheat sheets that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. It is worth calling out. We are not getting as many big prop line differences this week. That's one of the biggest things that I noticed as it sits right now. Now that could change Saturday morning. We might get some bigger fantasy score prop line differences, but definitely a tighter board this time around, which is a little bit surprising to me. So not as fun, I guess, without those massive prop line differences, but oh well. That's why the slips are going to be a little bit tighter that you guys just saw. So that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. Comment your guys' favorite prop bet if you guys have one. Again, if you guys want access to any of the tools, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.